Arrow Season 3, Episode 10, Left Behind. I think this was a really good episode. Of course, I think the biggest thing is that everyone was curious what the heck happened to Oliver? Who is it that saved Oliver if you saw the preview? And this was a cool episode. I figured that the person that ended up saving Oliver was actually going to be Katana, but it was actually her husband, and then he took Oliver to Katana. So that was cool that we got to see both of them. I figured she was alive. That was like the big thing. Even when his friend was revealed, I can never remember his name. I can only remember Katana because it's Katana. It's easy to remember. But I figured that she survived even when they showed him because they had the sort of mystery like we have to save her. China White has her. How do we get her back? Or are we going to get her back? Stuff like that. I figured she's going to be alive. She's going to be in the present. And it was cool to see her in this episode. I'm sure we'll get a lot of the answers as to how they saved her and exactly what happened. Because, of course, when Oliver woke up, he was like, how? So it was either because she just flat out left and they thought, she vanished, or he really thought she died, which I have to assume that's what it was because everybody always thinks everyone is dead in this show, which is kind of funny. But I think that's probably what it is. They thought that she'd already been killed by the time they got there or something like that. So I'm really excited to get, sort of all that information, hopefully in the next episode. I don't, it'll probably be a part of it at least. So I'm really excited for that. But as cool as that stuff was, the main focus of this episode was just the toil that everyone felt. Like everyone was like, it's been days since we heard from Oliver. He could still be alive. They were kind of trying to be in denial while at the same time trying to work through it. And it was just really, really great. It was great to see them doing this job without Oliver. It wasn't the same job. Like Diggle can't replace Oliver. He doesn't have those skills. And when it's just a team of two of them, it's a little different. When they go up against certain enemies, it's more difficult for them to win. And this was one of those cases where it was, too tough for just two people. Because even if it was, Roy and Oliver, I'm sure that still would have been tough. They may have been able to do it because there would have been two of them with, bows and arrows. And it would have been a little different than Diggle with his gun and then he runs out. But it was just very interesting. It was a great scene. It was really cool from the start. It was a great action scene for the episode with Roy, like, just running past the aisles and just, like, taking people down. The part where Diggle, like, slid under the truck and, like, stopped himself and rolled, and he was, like, just running straight down this one aisle, just shooting and stuff. It was a really cool scene, and then he fought Brick. And that was really cool when he, like, shot him in the head, and it was like, he's like, oh, crap, it's blanks. And he's like, that's smart, because no one ever thinks to go for the headshot. So that was kind of cool. I enjoyed that, and, I was hoping he'd win, but the guy would still escape, or at least it would be, like, a tie or something, but unfortunately Brick is just Brick. Like, he's going to win. So, I guess it was more realistic, but it was definitely cool. It was a great episode. I love the emotions in it. And, like, watching Felicity, she kind of broke down in this episode because, of course, she was the most in denial because how she feels for Oliver. But it was good. And then she kind of had to go on and kind of feel the same way about Ray Palmer before he even got started. And it, it was simple when she mentioned it in the first part of the episode where it's like, hopefully in the future they won't come back, like, way, way down the line. And she was a little bit more calm about it, like, I don't think you should do this because this could happen. And then when she really decided to believe Oliver was gone, that's when she really broke down and she was crying, like, you can't do this because it's not what you should do, you will die. And I enjoyed that. I thought it was really cool. We didn't get to see as much of Ray Palmer using the suit as I thought. He couldn't even shoot the little Iron Man blast, because I don't know how many of you guys are thinking that, but I was like, oh, he's like, thinking Iron Man. But yeah, it was just great. Like, the emotions for this episode were the driving force, and like Thea not knowing where Oliver was and kind of having to go to Roy and then seeing Roy have to lie to her face. Like, at first I thought she figured it out when she went to him saying that, like, you're the one in red, Oliver's probably the arrow, but that wouldn't have made sense because Diggle kind of took his place, so the arrow wasn't missing, it was Oliver. But I enjoyed that. And then of course Malcolm Merlyn knowing that Oliver lost, it's like, well, if he lost, then the debt is still there. I will still be murdered if I'm captured. And so his plan now is to take Thea away. And they had a cool little action scene when they were fighting with the swords. I enjoyed that. And it really made me think, like, I can't wait to see Thea just go out and fight or something, because when she was using those two swords, it looked really cool, and we haven't seen that in the show just yet. We've seen them, do the stick, so it was, I guess, similar to that. But they were swords, so it looked cooler to me. But I can't wait till she's out doing some form of action. I don't know if she'll get like, her own costume or whatever, but it'll be cool when she has to, get into the thick of it, and hopefully she uses some weapons and we'll get to see her skills. But I love that, um, the league coming after them. I'm curious to see if that'll really go down that way. It probably will, because Oliver lost the battle, so they will have to come after Malcolm. But it'll be cool to see that. And then the last person, I think everyone was kind of waiting for this to happen. Some people, of course, didn't want it to happen. But we have like the official version of the Black Canary in this episode, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. It was like a quick little scene. I thought, her costume looked good. It's like slightly different. It wasn't exactly the jacket. It was like a different type of jacket and stuff. It looked really cool. She did her little thing. It was like a second long, but I thought it was cool. Seeing her in the costume and transitioning in this episode, I thought was really good, because Laurel was doing the case. She did great. She was like, this guy, killed a cop, or at least injured a cop, committed like a huge crime, and she like went full force on him in court, and she got it. It was like, boom, we got you. You're going to prison. And then, he's like, you don't scare me nearly as much as Brick does. And then the guy even walks out like, have a nice day. Like, he didn't flip. He likes breathing too much, and he's gone. And she's like, even winning was a loss in this moment, because the only reason we really lost, like, we lost like the real big fish. Like, we captured like a minor guy who doesn't really mean anything compared to this really big guy. So it was just like, she won, but at the same time she lost. So I enjoyed that little transition, and it's like, I have to step up to a different level of justice, and that's what she did. So personally, I enjoyed it. Like I said, it was that tiny little scene, so we didn't get too much out of it. I can't wait to see more, admittedly, but I enjoyed this episode. It was a great comeback for the season. I'm really excited for next week. I can't wait to see Oliver when he's back in full health. I don't know if he'll go up against Ra's al Ghul again. He probably won't, but that's like my main question, is like, what's going to happen with Ra's al Ghul at this point, because they're going to go after Merlin because they think Oliver's dead at this point. And even if he comes back, I'm sure by the time Oliver's at full strength, it'll be like, oh, we know you weren't the one that did that. We know you did this to protect your sister. And they'll probably already be going after Merlin, as well as Thea, because it is technically her fault. She's the one who, let the boat go. So that's like my main thing. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with Ra's al Ghul and when he's really going to come back in and who he's going to go up against, but I'm super excited. I think things are going to be really cool. I love getting to see more Roy in this episode. I feel like even though he's in the action a lot, we don't really get to see him have standout moments, and this was one of those times we really got to, like, the whole episode, not just as Arsenal, but even as Roy in general. We got to see him in a lot of scenes, which I always think is really good, because I feel like he's obviously an important character, but I feel like he just doesn't get enough. So it was really cool, especially since this is the first season of him officially being Arsenal. It's also really cool to get to see him, do some good action and stuff like that. So it was a great episode to see way more of Roy as just Roy, as well as Arsenal. I said that in a weird way, as Arsenal. But I enjoyed the episode. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And like I said, my big question is, what's going to happen with Ra's al Ghul in the league? What do you guys think is going to come out of that? Because Oliver's going to come back to full health. He'll get back into the city to be like, okay, well, I'm sure they know at this point that it's Diggle and clearly not Oliver, because, Ra's al Ghul like stabbed him in the chest and kicked him off, let him fall off a cliff. So I'm sure they know it's someone replacing him, but they're going to find out. So yeah, I just don't know what's going to come out of that. I know it's going to be amazing, but I'm not 100% sure like what's going to happen first, and that's where I'm trying to figure out how they're going to do the storyline, because there's so many elements to it. It just depends on what happens first. The League finding Malcolm first, Oliver getting healed first, the League possibly coming back to Starling City. I don't know why they would, but possibly coming back for whatever reason. Like I said, I want to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.